Hello there everyone, this is razorflamekun, and today I will be playing Dungeon Hearts for you, which might not look like an RPG game, but it's an RPG game, but it's mostly an action puzzle game. Anyways, we're going to be playing normal, which is normal difficulty. It's a bit harder than the difficulty actually says, but why don't we go ahead and get started? We will be starting in 3, 2, 1, go. So at the beginning, you have 4 heroes. You have a fighter, you have a mage, you have a healer, and you have an archer. They do basically what you say. The goal of the game is to do match 3, basically. You also have enemy attacks that you want to avoid at all costs. The skull and crossbones are what you're going to be trying to avoid. After every fight, you are going to encounter these, which are called boosters. All 3, and this is after every fight. So it's the same idea, match 3, and this is how you level up your characters after every fight. When you match, so these are called charges. You match 3, you get a striker. When you match 3 of the same color striker, you get what's called a super striker. That super striker actually destroys the entire field and usually does a lot of damage. The times number you see is the combo or the chain or whatever you want to call it. Basically, the more heroes you have in the chain and combo, the higher this damage will be. Each different corresponding color of the hero strikers are for that specific hero. So red is for the fighter, blue is for the healer, yellow is for the mage, and green is for the archer. Basically at the end of every single fight, you want to not miss a single one of those, because if you do, it'll hurt you down the road. So now we actually get what are called enemy chargers, which are the gray chargers. Basically, when they hit the end of this, when they hit in this area, they will increase the damage done by the enemy strikers, which are the skull and crossbones. So again, they're just enemy attacks you want to get rid of as quickly as possible. Another thing you might see me is trying to get as many heroes into the attack as possible. That is done by getting usually done by getting all 4 of the different colors in on the attack. And then you get that big animation there. And usually you get a higher multiplier at the end as well. One thing I do want to touch on is the composer of this game is Sam English. There were other composers as well, but Sam English is the main one. And I really want to showcase this game's composition as well as the gameplay, because the composition of this game is like absolutely amazing. Another thing to mention is that every single fight is not guaranteed to be the same fight every run. Every fight is done from a list of different, small lists of enemies that it can be, but there are certain set enemies that will appear. There's one set enemy at the very end, the final boss. He will always appear, and then there are one or two, and then there are some where there's only 1 or 2 enemies. Different enemies that you can get. So here we get the introduction of armored enemy strikers as well as static chargers. So the squares cannot be moved, and the purple enemy strikers take 2 hits to destroy. So there are going to be some times where I am going to be not talking, and that's because I'm going to be focusing. This game shouldn't require too much focus, but that's just something that I'm used to at this point. Another thing is that I want to mention is this is my first big marathon run. And I just want to say how appreciative I am of letting me show this game to you guys on this big of a scale, because this game, in my opinion, needs a lot more deserves a lot more attention than it gets. And then another thing I want to mention is that I'm somewhat nervous. So if you hear me stutter or anything like that, it's just because I'm really nervous, so forgive me. Everyone has those days. Anyways, back to the game. You're going to find that the game is going to ramp up significantly starting right around here, where the game is going to start to get more and more difficult. There's going to be more enemy attacks going. One thing I might not have mentioned because it went so quickly is there are hexes in this game, and hexes are the hexagons, and they are just like other enemy attacks. They give you a benefit. They give you a debuff basically, and so you want to destroy them as quickly as possible, as with all of the other enemy attacks. So here is the introduction of static enemy strikers as well. So these cannot be moved, and since they cannot be moved, they are of the utmost importance to destroy immediately, because they literally, since they cannot be moved, whereas others can, you can't delay the attack where you would be able to for other attacks. That's more prevalent in the hard difficulty. One interesting thing to mention is that this game is actually a port of a mobile game. So basically, yeah, it's basically a port of a mobile game. I don't know why they ported the mobile game, but they did. And yeah, in case you missed the opening, basically the gist of the game is you want to create diamonds, which are the enemy strikers, or sorry, the hero strikers, and then you want to arrange them so that you can do damage with your attacks to defeat the enemies. Anyways, here is the first boss of the game. And this is actually one of the good bosses to get. Because it's very easy to get combos on him. The healer can heal more than one person. It depends on which button you're pressing. You probably won't see that because I'm actually trying for a no skill run. But I guess I can go over the skills on the bottom. Some of them. The healer, 4 buttons appear up here, and when you hit, every time when you hit the color button that corresponds to that hero, they regain HP. This one here is the slow, which basically slows everything down and gives you more time. I do not want to have to use that if I don't want to, because that will slow everything down. Since this is a speed run, you don't want that. Overall, if you're interested in getting this game is fairly challenging, especially on the harder difficulties. But overall, it's a very fun game. The normal difficulty is really fun, very casual. Like, it's just a really fun run to do. As of right now, I am the only speedrunner of this game. Anyways, true. Anyways, the number that you see in swords is the number of fights there are left in the game. You have to go through that plus an additional fight to finish the game. This is played completely with mouse only. No, not keyboard, just mouse. Anyways, here is the introduction of colored enemy strikers. They require you to be destroyed by that color striker, hero striker. So this one requires blue, this one requires yellow, and so on. Yep. I still don't know why they ported a mobile game to computer. Although it does make sense. I mean, in my opinion, it will probably be better on mobile with a stylus. But I mean, this is still very fun. Pretty soon. I mean, you've pretty much seen everything that the enemies can throw at you already. But there's going to be a few more things that I'm going to have to explain a bit later on. Some of the attacks, the reason why is because they are done, they are a special attack. They're basically a special attack. I assume you're talking about the superchargers. The superchargers do so because it's considered a super special attack, like a cutscene attack, and it takes everything out on the entire screen. If they're the same is true if an enemy attack hits you. That entire line on the fate stream will be destroyed. So here's an example of a Super Striker attack. And that gets rid of everything on the screen. Also, every single time you use a skill, the skill also gets rid of everything on the entire screen. This game has a lot of strategy to it. Like you saw there were 3 enemy attacks that I was able to destroy in one hit because they were lined up that in a good way. Now you're seeing the bad effects of this. The problem with this game is sometimes when you grab something, you don't actually grab it, it sticks. And it's annoying as heck. It's super annoying. Like there are times when you'll see me grab something and it doesn't grab. I don't know, I don't know why, it just doesn't grab. And for a game like this that requires, that requires precision, that's pretty devastating. One thing I didn't mention is that when you, after you finish the fight, everything disappears because the fight's over. Also, another thing I didn't mention is that, I actually forgot what I was going to say, oh well. I'm sure I will remember what it was in a second or two. Or not. Oh, okay. So we've almost seen everything this game will throw at you in this difficulty, but that's not everything that... there's still one more thing that it can throw at you, and that's not until the final boss. There's actually a couple things about the final boss. Here's something new. So now the hexes as well are going to be armored. Thank you. It's kind of hard to get a commentator for a run when you're the only speedrunner, though, Kappa. The good thing is, if you have a clear, no obstruction and a clear line of sight, you can actually drag things pretty much anywhere on the screen, just so long as there's nothing obstructing the view, or the path, I should say. Alright, I think the thing I was gonna say is, yeah, here's, Kappa, yes, that would be the case. The one thing you want to try and do on these leveling screens is you want to try to make sure you get every single level, because like I said before, if you don't get every single level, it'll slow you down later on in the game, or the run. Okay, so here's something new. Now they put enemy strikers in hero chargers. So now, this is what really adds another level of, just another level of difficulty to the game, is when they do this. Maybe? That's up for you to interpret. You'll notice when we get later on into the game, it's going to start to become impossible to make large chains. That's just because the game is getting harder and harder and harder. Oh, and I just remembered the thing I want to talk about. So, the enemy chargers, which are the gray circles, those are destroyed by any hero attack. So it's often a very good way to... they're more of a nuisance than anything. They're just meant to get in your way. So a good way is to just get rid of them all by doing a single attack on them. Coming up in about... oh, right here. So that's dark purple. Ooh, okay, that's fine. Each hex has its own negative effects. The negative effects can range. Unfortunately, I do not have enough time to explain what all of them do, but I will be sure to point out which ones are the worst. Weaken, what it does is it just, it does what it says. It weakens your heroes, so they do less damage. Yes. Some of the monster designs were a bit questionable in this game. You mean beauty is in the eye of the beholder? I totally got that. I didn't even notice that it had 4 different... Actually... Okay, here's the second boss. Kind of, they do this every once in a while where you get the same, there are reskins of this game. There's only like 40 different enemies in this game. So there are definitely reskins in this game. Anyways, one thing I haven't mentioned is the Face Stream has a set movement speed. Each enemy has their own set speed that the Face Stream moves, and the Face Stream is the... Didn't get that in time, but it's fine. Each enemy has its own set Face Stream move, and that speeds up as the fight goes on. Puzzle RPG, yes. Also, there's usually lag whenever you do big chains. Come on, get over there. There's other things I could talk about, but I'm going to focus a little bit until I finish this fight. Damn, missed that. Oh, sorry. Too bad I can't donate money for the swear jar. Yes, that's totally what I said. I'm gonna miss I'm gonna miss a few levels there. That's fine though. Okay, so something I might not have explained that showed up in that fight is there are enemy strikers and hexes that take 3 hits to destroy. Here's one right here. This is a restore hex. It basically restores a portion of the enemy's HP. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I could toss some bits in after the run. So most of these fights you want to do big combo or big chain to get rid of them extremely quickly. That's how you get fast times in this game. A lot of enemies you're able to one-shot doing that, but there are a bunch that you're not able to, including all 3 of the bosses. now there's not too much left that I'm going to need to explain until just before the end of the game. Because this game has a tradition where I will not be talking during the final boss at all. To allow you to enjoy the final boss music, which is one of the best RPG well, not RPG, but one of the best indie tracks that I've heard in a very long time. So I'm going to let you guys hear that. That's going to be at the very end of the run, so get hyped for that. Yeah, like I said, there's not really, I'm not really going to bother explaining the abilities. I'm explaining the abilities I'm going to, I think I will use the abilities at the, on the final boss. So, the only thing you need to know about the fighter's abilities is that they're all timed, and every single time, since they're timed, you can just smash and you will usually get all of the timings correct. The mage's final ability we're going to be using, basically when you activate it, you click any of your hero chargers and they instantly turn to strikers, which leads to big chains. And then those are the only two abilities that we're going to use in the final boss. The others don't matter. I guess since we're talking about the final boss, I can start talking about the final boss now. So, the final boss is called the Dark One. He has a lot of gimmicks in his fight. The first is he can change the speed of the fate stream at will, and can also make it stop completely. But the entire fate stream is variable during that fight. The other thing he has is he has a new hex called the Nether Breath. It always takes 3 hits to destroy, and you'll know when you see it because it will be it has a special design. Also, so what the Nether Stream does, or Nether Breath does, is it is a full screen attack that hits all of your heroes with up to 3 different random, 3 completely different random hexes from any of the hexes that incur a special status effect on them. So that is the one that you want to avoid at all costs, because not only does it do that, it also destroys everything on the screen. Everything. So, like our own special attacks do. So that's just something that you want to avoid at all costs if you can. And finally, you'll notice a huge increase in attacks that he will send. He will be sending a lot of attacks. Right here is a very dangerous opponent on the harder difficulty, on hard. This opponent can kill you very quickly, because she has different attacks than she does here. But, yeah, she's very difficult on hard, but on normal, not so much. The other thing you saw there is a new type of hex. That is the freeze hex. You want to destroy that as soon as possible, because if it gets to the end of the fate stream, which is here, it will freeze one of your heroes, and they won't be able to do anything, and you won't be able to move any of their color circles or squares or diamonds at all. You won't be able to move them at all. Oh geez, this is a really, really interesting start. Some of these starts are really rude. When you get towards the end of the game, like I said, it becomes harder and harder to make these big long chains, these big chains that I've been doing. So I'm sometimes settling for single attacks. That's not what you want to do on this difficulty, but if you are about to get like hit by an attack, then you just want to get rid of the attack instead of dealing with it. Got that just in time. Yes, speedrun phone edition. No, it's not a phone. It's an actual computer game. Whenever the enemy is, hold on a sec, I'm gonna take that. Whenever you're, they're cracked like this, it means they're almost dead. Yeah, this is on the phone, but I'm actually playing on the computer version. So in case you missed my explanation of the final boss has a new hex called Nether Breath, which will, when it hits, gets the end of the phase stream and hits, it will hit all of your heroes for up to three different random negative status effects, as well as destroying the entire field of anything on it. It also has a it can change the speed of the fate stream at will. And there are times when it will completely stop the fate stream. So just be wary of that. And then it'll be sending a lot of attacks at you. Especially right before it slows down, stops the entire fate stream. So, if you notice that you're not going to be able to deal with what he is about to throw at you, you are going to want to have an ability set up that you can use to get out of it, so that you can actually survive it. Anyways, we are 2 fights from the end. Got those left. So, like I said, I will not be doing any commentary during the final boss. I'll use this because
Rita, you're gonna have to repeat what you said during the last 30 seconds or something. You
okay.
Cut out there for a little bit.
Okay. I'm gonna be silent during the final boss. Because the final boss, it's just tradition, because I want you to be able to hear the music of the composer. I dropped audio for a little bit of time, nothing to worry about. This enemy is also very difficult on hard mode, just because of how random this guy's attacks are. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry about that. Gonna take the attack there. It's gonna be fine. Sometimes it's actually faster to take, Okay, gonna use that just to get rid of everything. So this increases armor pierce. Just means you do more damage. The other things that I got inflicted with was poison, which is self-explanatory, and blindness, which your attacks might miss. Anyways, we're going to we're going into the final. No, there's no nothing special. Anyways, this is the final boss, so enjoy the music. And that is the final boss. So, time is not yet. I will mention when time is. Timing for this game is done by in-game time, but we will be there also is RTA time as well. Also, don't ask what this why the heroes disappear. I have no idea. It's just how the game works. And time. So, if this game looks interesting to you, you can there is a speedrun.com page for it. If you are interested in learning how to speedrun this game, you can find me on Discord, razorflame #0016, on twitch.tv/razorflamekun, and if you enjoyed what you saw, please feel free to give me a follow if you'd like. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys later.
Thanks for running.
Unfortunately, it was not a new world record, but it was It was about 3 minutes slower, about 2.5 minutes slower than my world record, but still good. Yeah, and thanks for having me, and I will let you go through. I will let you go to the next run.